We had something amazing happen this last week. Elon Musk became the world's first trillionaire. I could hardly spell trillionaire. That's a big word, and it's a lot of money. Is that inherently evil? Is he a wicked man? Is there something wrong with trillionaires, billionaires, people that have wealth? Is that inherently evil? Or is there something deeper? We're going to talk about that in our podcast today. You definitely won't want to miss it.
Hey, welcome to the Ron Johnson Discipleship Podcast.
Good to be with you guys again. So much happening around here. I walked here and took a little look out the window and saw our flag
still there,
blowing in the breeze.
Yeah,
it was awesome. But we had a great dedication of the flag pole and flag area there out in front, which I was noticing. About every window in the foyer gives you a beautiful view of our beautiful flag. So that was cool. Of course, we got Ivan Tate in town. I hope you guys can come out. By the time you hear this, it'll be too late, so just forget that I just said that. You missed it. But
literally the day afterwards.
That's been good. And hey, our 21 days of prayer, which is going to go
That's
through
still going on.
You guys get out. If you haven't been out to that, get out to that. So encouraging, though. A lot of signs of life in the house. Yeah. People hungry for the Lord. Just appreciate all of our team that's been working double time, whether it's our worship team, production teams, everybody. But it's been good. A lot of momentum, I feel like, in the house. So praise the Lord.
Yeah, we got. Yesterday was a full day.
Yes, it was.
We had our flag raising in the morning. And then Ivan Tate. Ivan Tate. And
three services, huh?
3 services.
Ivan, man, we're working them. We got to get a nap for that guy.
And then a night service too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Great time. I always enjoy when he comes, and I'm always touched. That you see those videos, and of course I've been there and watched them in action. But those videos of just the children that they rescue and the horrific stories, just reminded us we're living in a very dark, fallen world that needs Jesus. And I so applaud, what they're doing, just caring for the least of these. I'm glad we can partner with them. In fact, we have a team there right now that'll probably be coming back shortly after this podcast airs from Guatemala. So I'm excited to hear about how all that went.
They have an orphanage in Guatemala and in Africa.
Yeah, not an orphanage in Africa, but I think they do feeding programs and some of care for some of the kids that way. It's like a safe place, I think, for the kids to go. But yeah, great work. Great guy. Just appreciate how genuine he is, how real he is, and his heart for the least of these. So I'm glad we can, like I said, we can partner. Some cool stuff.
And you just came back from a trip to the Capitol. Did you see the UFC fight, or too late for that?
I missed that.
You missed it.
A little late on that. Yeah, but it was a great opportunity. We had with Family Research Council, we had a pastor's briefing. Yeah. So got to talk to a lot of elected officials who are strong Christians operating from a biblical worldview. Got briefings from them, and just got a kind of insider's view of what's going on at the Capitol. Had a Capitol tour. That's always amazing. I've done that half dozen times, but always powerful. And and Tony Perkins, president of the Family Research Council, used to have an event every year that I went to for probably at least a decade. It was called Watchman on the Wall, and it's based on Isaiah chapter 62, verses 6 and 7, which says, "O Jerusalem, I have posted watchmen on your walls. They will pray day and night continually. Take no rest, all you who pray to the Lord. Give the Lord no rest until he completes his work, until he makes Jerusalem the pride of the earth." And basically, this was a call for every believer to be spiritually alert, to speak the truth boldly in our culture, to protect and guide others. That's what the watchman was looking for, to see if there was an enemy approaching, and to influence the culture for righteousness. So a watchman in biblical terms was called to see danger, sound the alarm, and protect the people. And that's really, Tony was encouraging pastors to do that, but that's really something all of us believers are called to do, to see when danger is coming, to sound the alarm, and then to do something about it, not just to talk about it, but to do something about it, mobilize people, get engaged. And that's really been, our vision here at Living Stones when we talk about public square and reforming culture. We believe that Christians should have an impact and that the gospel shouldn't just be something we do in the four walls of our church. It should impact the marketplace. It should impact, every arena of society. And so, I want to thank Tony and FRC for helping to instill that vision in me, along with, the biblical worldview training. This is really where a lot of the heart of our public policy ministry comes from, is this idea about being, watchmen on the wall. So it was just a good reconnection, seeing a lot of people I hadn't seen for a while. And it's always fun to be in our nation's capital. And I like President Trump's take. He's like, we're Americans. This is our capital. Our capital should be the jewel. It should be a place where all Americans are free to come, and it should be clean. It should be something we're all proud of. And certainly as you walk through the city, man, all those monuments that were defaced during the rioting season in America have now been clean, and they are absolutely. They're pristine. I did feel proud walking around the Capitol, as that this is our jewel here in America. I felt good about that. That's been, again, something that Trump has been bold about. I didn't get to see that reflection.
Yeah, I saw on social media, reflection pool, how he cleaned up. It's interesting because, there's the idea that, it's just superficial. This cleaning, this making the reflection pool clean, and I don't think it's superficial at all. I think it's making a cultural statement.
Absolutely.
Like you said, it's the capital of our nation. If our capital nation is physically dirty, it's falling apart. What does that say to the heart of who we are? Often to revitalize a organization, I hear stories like someone comes in to take over a school. The first thing they do is they clean it up. When you walk through the door, you don't see cobwebs everywhere. You don't see broken doors everywhere, broken windows everywhere. You clean it up because you're making statements that says, hey, the transformation is going to happen first on that level.
If you ran, again, this is what I love the difference between a businessman and politician. Yeah. Under the previous administration, that reflection pond was losing something like 45,000 gallons of water a day because it was leaking, it was filthy, and politicians are good at just making excuses and spending other people's money. But you get a businessman involved, and he says, hey, we need to fix that. And this administration fixed it for a fraction of the cost that was spent by the previous administration, and it actually works now, as it should. And think about if you ran a restaurant. I go into your restaurant, it's filthy, there's rats running across the floor, which happened in my previous trips to D.C. Yeah. They were literally out at night. You'd get startled. You think it's like a cat or something that burst out. No, they were rats. I'm not making this up. There were rats in the parks in D.C., and then just filthy. If you ran your business that way, you go in the bathroom and the sink doesn't work, and there's
it's gross, it's nasty.
On the floor. Yeah, who's going to go back to that place?
Exactly.
But we somehow feel like the Capitol can be run that way, and that's the last place we should find that type of a view is at the Capitol. It should be someplace that's beautiful and well run, efficiently run, and it hasn't been, but it is now because we've got a businessman in charge, and it makes all the difference, I think, in the world.
Absolutely. I think you're making a powerful statement to say, hey, we are back. America is back. Going back to the idea of make America great again. Make America great. That's recapturing what made us great and continue in that.
Even our airports, it frustrates me when, for instance, I'll go into O'Hare in the bathroom and there's a whole row of sinks, and one of them you touch, it doesn't even work. Yeah. There's no soap, in the soap dispenser. You go to the paper towels to dry your hands, it's empty. The garbage can's overflowing. It's like this is just basic, how to run. When people come to Living Stones, we want our bathrooms clean. Yeah. We want the garbage emptied.
The windows clean. Look throughout the awesome window. You can see, clearly.
And we do it here because you want this to be a place that honors the Lord. Yeah. It speaks of excellence.
It represents Him, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so it just irritates me when I go anywhere in America, and we've traveled a lot abroad, and you go to certain other countries, and they are run incredibly efficiently, and things are beautiful. It's just national pride again. Come on, guys. Let's run our cities well and our businesses well. I
was laughing because I grew up in Richmond, Virginia area, East Coast, pretty close to DC. And remember the DC, the Washington. Now's the Washington Wizards. You'd see the Washington Bullets.
Yeah, I remember that. Wes Unseld. That's a name from the past.
Yeah, that's been a while. But they changed the name because Washington Bullets is too reminiscent of like the murder capital of the world, which is DC.
Right.
I mean, that's a real thing.
Yeah, they had to change the name
because that name was too
prophetic
offensive, too close to it. Washington Bullets. Which
and interestingly enough, so the Family Research Council's office that they built, it's like a 6-story building there, is right down the street from the arena where the Washington basketball team plays. So same neighborhood.
Nice. Okay.
And it's definitely gone up in terms of cleanliness and so forth. So, but speaking of businessmen, we need to talk about a very, very successful businessman who made a record this week in terms of net worth in America. We crossed the $1 trillion mark. Talk a little bit about our man Elon Musk.
Yeah, the controversial figure Elon Musk, who his SpaceX has a historic initial IPO, initial public offering, which basically he went public with his money and people can invest. And the value of SpaceX was valued at I don't know how many billions of dollars. And with all the organization, all the business he owned, his net worth is now over $1 trillion.
Now explain that, because people think, oh, the guy's worth $1 trillion. That doesn't mean that there's a giant vault that has $1 trillion stacked into whatever. I don't know how much you'd have to stack or how big that would have to be.
That's funny. You remember watching, what's that, DuckTales? Scrooge Duck? He had a big old vault and he would go swimming in the gold coins. Come on, I'm aging myself. Coming home. Did you see him, Matthew? Come home from school and just watch him just go to his, his vault and do diving.
I'm feeling old because I don't know that I saw that one, but anyway.
Anyway, I think that's what people think Musk does. Now, his house, he's just got like cash and he's just swimming in cash. That's not how rich people does it.
Yeah,
they don't have. They have very little cash. Their net worth is based on the organization they possess, and a lot of money is not liquid. They can't just take it out. They have to borrow against it. All these different things. So. With him reaching 1.1 trillion, whatever net worth is, like that's not real money. That's not like hardcore. It's just all like digital stuff right now. So,
right, but it is wealth and it is value.
It is
want to
value,
talk about that because the left was freaking out about it. But we'll get into that in just a minute. But I actually, $1 trillion, $1 billion, even $1 million is sometimes mind-boggling to me in my personal Johnson economy. Right. And so I asked what's what I'm looking for? The internet to give me the answer here. ChatGPT, AI.
Yeah.
I said, tell me what, in practical terms, how much is $1 trillion? Ready for this? So if you spent $1 per second, it would take you 31,700 years to spend $1 trillion.
Wow.
That's amazing. How about buying a house? The average house in America is average $300,000 for a house. $1 trillion would buy 3.3 million homes. That's a lot of homes.
That's a lot of homes.
That's enough homes to house the entire population of a very large country. If you gave away $1 million every day, this is kind of fun. You could do that for over 2,700 years. 2,700 years, $1 million giveaway. Entire civilizations would rise and fall before you ran out of money. I like this one too. You spend $1 billion per day.
Yeah.
It would take you 2.7 years to spend $1 billion a day. So that's just stunning again.
Yeah.
I like this one too. Many countries have annual budgets that are less than $1 trillion.
Yeah.
So that his net worth is worth more than many nations. The average car, $40,000. You could buy 25 million cars for $1 trillion. This is interesting too. Compared to billionaires, a billionaire has 1 billion. A trillionaire has 1,000 billion, which is again is just stunning. Everyday spending. If you spent $10,000 every day, $1 trillion would last you 274,000 years, and the list goes on and on and on. So I mean, it's really crazy how much $1 trillion is. But as we said, that's not something that we just have in our pocket or in our wallet, but it is a crazy amount of wealth. Now, let's talk about this from a Christian point of view. This is how did Elon get his money? Did he rob people? Did he cheat people? Did he steal? How did he get his money?
Right. Did he tax people?
Yeah. He takes other people's money?
Right. No, I mean, he I read a post. He solved the biggest problems. He solved the problem of electrical vehicle, for example. Mm-hmm. He solved the problem for paralyzed people who can't move their hand. He's solving the problem of how expensive it was to send satellites into space. So that he found reusable rockets. So now it's way cheaper to send. We all like our internet and our phones and communications. How do you get all these satellites orbiting? So now that we can have internet anywhere. Now in America, we all got AT&T and Comcast or whatever. But in other just more impoverished nations, right. How do you get AI education? How do you get an AI agent to teach your kid tutor so they can get out of this poverty by training the internet?
Yep.
Through SpaceX, through these internet.
I think it's important for us to kind of drill down here because the left comes out right away and they start saying things like nobody should have this amount of money. Mm-hmm. In fact, I had some quotes here from the left. We have no one should have that much money. Tax him, seize it, make him pay his fair share. And the left looks at somebody's success as the fact that the system's somehow broken. We have to fix the system because nobody should have that amount of money compared to this person who doesn't have anything. And it's really it's based on the lie. It's based on the lie that economics is a zero-sum game, mm-hmm. and that if I have more, that means you have to have less. And so in this crazy view of equality that we have today, not equal opportunity, but equal outcomes, we say, hey, we have to take the money from Elon because he shouldn't have that much, and we have to redistribute. Of course, the we we're talking about is the federal government takes that money through taxation and a host of other things, and then we redistribute that money to people who haven't earned as much. But talk about that. The beauty of capitalism and free market, free enterprise, is that we can actually create wealth. It's not a zero-sum game. It's not like this is the pie and we have to all get a equal size piece of the pie. The free market system says you can actually create more pies. Yeah. You can create things that have never existed before that actually add wealth, add value, and talk about that because this is something, I think free capitalism gets a bad rap these days. It's almost like viewed as greedy people that are exploiting other people, but you just listed a whole bunch of problems. I like the way you said that. Problems that were solved by Elon Musk and team that actually lead to a better life for all of us.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I think the communistic perspective is there's only so much resource. In the whole world, there's only $100. So if you make it $1, that's one less dollar for me. Yep. That's a communistic perspective. Whereas the entrepreneur or the capitalistic perspective, which I would say is the kingdom perspective, is Jesus taking that bread and that fish and he prayed he took it down and he started giving and giving. And the more he gave, the more he got. And at the very end, there were 12 big baskets left over for everyone. So
what they ended with after everybody ate was more than they began.
More than they even begin with. And everyone had their fill. And the more they gave, the more they had. Now, I'm obviously that's a miraculous sign from Jesus himself. I'm not saying Musk or entrepreneurs are Jesus, but I'm saying that's symbolic of what the capitalistic system, which is capitalism, is a biblical worldview process, which says we're called as stewards of the earth to make prosperous, to go and take dominion of the world and take resources and innovate and come up with ideas and put them together and solve problems never been solved before and create wealth that's never been created before. Using engineering, mathematics, creative solutions, we're able to take these raw resources and create wealth so that everybody wins, so that the innovator, the creator, the engineer wins, but the consumer also wins, solving problems.
And Reagan talked about trickle down. That's a perfect example of trickle down. That has been, again, mocked and disparaged by the left, trickle down economics. But we'll use Elon Musk as an example. When his business goes public, he, of course, became the richest man in the world. He already was, I believe, but he really now is the richest man in the world. Yeah. But instantly, there were hundreds of people that worked for his company that owned stock that became millionaires. Yeah. So that's a perfect example of what we're talking about. And everybody who uses his product they do that freely because the product adds value to them or makes their lives better. So this is a perfect example. You create something that's a blessing to people. Of course, you get the impact of that because people are buying your product freely in a free market. But I get blessed as well. And if I take that product and start thinking how I can creatively make it better, then I get even more income. So everybody wins.
Well, think about like internal combustible engine, like a car.
Yep.
Like that invention has created all kind of wealth, so that I don't have to work like within walking distance. I can work in Chicago. Not that I want to, but I could in Chicago if I want to. Drive there and work there and come back. How about internet and telephones? The productivity and the innovation that allows us to be able to produce more and more allows everybody to win. And that's what innovation is supposed to do.
And the key word here is freedom. It's economic freedom.
It's no longer toiling in the soils, reversing the curse of the work.
Absolutely. So you're free to make your own economic choices. If you have a business-friendly tax code, then the government's not stealing or de-incentivizing your hard work. I read where Elon in 2008, it was the hardest year of his life because he was that was the Falcon 1 that was launched, that crashed and burned. More than $100 million lost. Tesla was on the brink of collapse. He was borrowing money from his friends just to pay the bills. But the fourth Falcon 1 mission succeeded. So he just kept at it. And his work ethic is like Trump's work ethic. I mean, this guy, they don't sleep. They're constantly thinking how to make it better, what can I do differently? And there was a picture of him that was taken after one of those rocket crashes where he was just kind of squatting there looking at all the wreckage, and then not quitting though. And so after the fourth Falcon 1 mission succeeded, he was awarded a SpaceX $1.6 billion contract. Tesla secured emergency funding just hours before the company would have missed payroll. And I think back at even the Twitter it was Twitter at the time, the X account, when he bought that. I mean, he rescued free speech in America at that very moment. The point is, the guy wasn't a quitter. He kept working and working and working and working hard. And the fact that the government awarded him a contract was because the product that he had succeeded in producing was actually the most efficient, best value, for the money. And so when I hear people like, I've got our good friend out there in Gavin Newsom in California, this was his take on it. He says Americans are struggling to pay for groceries and gas while Elon Musk becomes a trillionaire. So it's the whole thing, bad Elon, but these poor Americans that are struggling. He says when the federal government is for sale, the rich get richer and everyone else gets shafted. He says the system is rigged. I would like to remind Governor Newsom that the reason people are living as paupers in California is because of bad government, largely his bad government, and because of crazy taxes, and because of, like we saw in the city of L.A., where the city burned down, or good portions of it did, in the Palisades fire. This was because of government ineptitude. We talked about the rail, the $1 billion, I don't know how many $1 billion rail service that was supposed to happen that never got off the ground, and all that money's gone. I don't know where he burned that. Or how about the illegal immigrants that are coming into his country by the droves? That was what I would say would be the cause for your people having a hard time living. How about the gas prices that are shooting through the roof in California because of all the taxes?
How about the corruption? All the money is going to the wrong people.
Absolutely.
Much we can say about California, but I think the wealth tax they want to propose is crazy. I don't even think they believe in the wealth tax, because you start taxing on unrealized gains.
Yeah.
So you mentioned the story of Elon Musk. So yeah, he is a trillionaire right now. Huge work ethics. But there's another part of entrepreneurship that most people don't understand, is the amount of risk you have to take.
Yeah,
the amount of dangers you have to put yourself into to go and start a new business. I talk to a new business owner. I work with a new business owner. It could be like starting a tech company. Or you could be starting your own, your own little store.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. When you start a new thing, unless you got millions and millions of dollars of backing, which most of us do not have, you're taking a tremendous amount of risk. When you have unrealized gain taxed, that risk just go through the roof. And what happens is no one wants to take that risk anymore. There will be no innovation. America, not just America, the world, technology is built for people, by people who says, I'm going to take that risk.
Yeah. And again, you don't take the risk unless the benefits outweigh the costs.
Yeah.
But there's still a risk. Like many business leaders who started businesses had their home as capital. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, if the business goes under, they lose their house, they lose everything.
And there's people who are really lost everything, and they just keep trying and keep trying. It's risky enough without the government coming down, looking over your shoulder, and says, "Oh, I need tax on that unrealized gain." It's like, I don't have any real money. It's all in the business right now. It's not actual gain. It's just a speculation by the market that I have this much money. I can't just liquidate that right now.
Right.
There's enough risk already in this.
Or I think too, professionals, whether it's law or medicine, look how much they're charging, whatever. They took a risk. They went to med school.
Yeah.
They many times went hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, believing that as they get out there and practice their trade, they're actually going to be able to recoup that loss. But there's a risk even in the education.
Over decades. So now people look at a business or the boss and be like, I got to work all day. They can go off and have the freedom and make all that money. It's like, yeah, did you go through 30 years of anxiety every night before you go to bed worrying about your business?
Right.
You just go and clock in and clock out. Again, I'm not diminishing that. I'm just saying when we just throw, hey, let's just tax the rich people. How do they get their money? Now, to some of these people talking right here, I wonder how you get your money.
Oh, yeah, exactly. That's a better question.
Did you take some risk? Did you innovate, solve problems, or is it through a little backhanded action there in the U.S. government?
Let's talk about Senator Pocahontas here, Elizabeth Warren. She says Elon Musk just became the world's first trillionaire. The typical American household would have to work more than 11 million years to make Elon Musk level of wealth. We need a wealth tax. Here's a lady who has created nothing. To your point, I'm more concerned with how she became a millionaire by being a public servant, right? By being an elected official. How did she become a millionaire? That's the big question. She hasn't created anything. Her money comes from tax dollars. They go to pay for her salary. So how in the world did she? I don't know what her net worth is, but she's like Bernie Sanders. These socialists
millionaires.
Yeah. So how did you become a millionaire? That's the bigger question. I know how Elon Musk became a trillionaire.
Right.
You've already listed the companies that he started and created and all the wealth that's been created. I want to know her and Nancy Pelosi.
Their salary's not that high. We know their salaries. So they made their money elsewhere. Yep. Where did you make your money? Now, I don't know what kind of information.
How about insider trading? That would be the first
market.
place.
So, again, it's the same revenue source as Musk and all these different. He's just doing better than you are.
So they're making their money in the free market by investing in stocks.
And I don't know how they're getting their information. That's a whole other thing. But
This was outspoken Samantha on X. She writes, Elon Musk is not stealing from you. Gavin Newsom is stealing from you. Karen Bass is stealing from you. Tim Walz is stealing from you. Elizabeth Warren is stealing from you. AOC is stealing from you. All of those folks have made millions while being public servants. She says becoming wealthy does not make you evil. The people who take from you, promising to fix problems and then enriching themselves while trying to get you to hate those they're taking the money from, they are evil. And to that I would say a big amen. Also a quote here from Thomas Sowell. He says, envy was once considered to be one of the 7 deadly sins before it became one of the most admired virtues under a new name. Social justice. Yeah. And I think that's exactly what the left loves to do. Not only are they race baiters, but they're also economic baiters as well. They love to point out the inequalities. What we believe, what the Bible teaches is not a guarantee of equal outcomes, but a guarantee of equal opportunity. And that's what a just system does. It creates opportunities for people, not outcomes, because not everybody's going to work as hard. Not everyone's going to make good choices. Not everybody's going to do what it takes, delayed gratification and so forth, to actually create a successful business or to create wealth. But those who do should be rewarded for it. And so I get to the question. I'm just going to ask you up front. Is it immoral for somebody to have $1 billion or even $1 trillion? Is that fundamentally immoral from a Christian worldview perspective?
No, and I will say to them, is it immoral that the best player in the NBA makes the most money? Is it immoral that the Hollywood star that their movie makes the most money should earn the highest salary. No, it's not immoral. They're doing the wrong strategy. Capitalism in its purest form should reward those who provide the greatest value.
Right.
Now, but because of sin in the world, often capitalism has corruption, and corruption causes people to not play by the same rules.
Right.
So attack the corruption. List the areas in which people are not playing by the same rules. Hey, you get a B and get into school. Get in. I get an A. Somehow I don't get in because of whatever reason.
Right.
Attack the injustice within capitalism. But when you start attacking capitalism and start putting socialism in there, I think intuitively everyone knows that it doesn't work.
Yeah, and you brought up a good point. As soon as you start punishing people for being successful, number one, they're going to leave your state. So
or your nation.
Until we have communism across America or socialism across America, there's always going to be a state that is sane. Indiana is one of them. Florida is one of them. Texas, I think, is one of them. We've got some of them. But the second thing is also equally important. You not only are people going to leave, but you're going to de-incentivize any kind of risk taking or all of those things that are incumbent to somebody who runs their own business. Yeah. I mean, these are hardworking people who when they go to bed at night, they're thinking, you know what? My company's got to be successful because I have 20 employees that are all depending on the success of this company. I mean, these are things that business owners go to bed thinking about because they're not selfish, greedy people, all of them. Most of them are trying to do a good deed, run their business, make some money, and be a blessing to the people that work for them.
But they want to be incentivized to be successful. So, I mean, I think we shared the story years ago. The best example of why communism doesn't work is an experiment where the professor says, hey, your grades is going to be an average of everyone's grade. I don't care how hard you study. Yeah. We're going to take them all everyone's going to get their average grade, same grade. And then they see the average grade. The first test, the average grade was like 80. Next one is like 60. And it keeps going down, down, down.
Right.
Because why am I working so hard to get an A when I'm going to get average down by whatever someone else gets? There's no point for me to study. So you can engineer systematically for people to not create and not work hard.
Right. And in socialistic countries, they have a quota on how many people can be a doctor, how many people can do whatever. And then you barely make anything more than the other person who really didn't have to have any kind of knowledge or skill base or work hard. So who wants to be a doctor if you're going to have to deal with all those pressures when you can just be whatever else and not have to deal with the pressures, right?
It's curious to me how in socialistic and communist nations, somehow the heads of the government are often so much richer than everyone else.
Yeah.
It's interesting how that works.
Yeah, they've created the same system. They get all the money. They get blessed. They're in the top of the heap, and everybody else, is down here.
Interesting how that works.
It's ridiculous. Russell Kirk said the collectivist system subordinates the person to the state. That's exactly what happens. All of these politicians think they are actually better suited as experts to know who should have money and how to redistribute the money. It's a collectivist system. I love this famous quote by Milton Friedman. He said, if you put the federal government in charge of the Sahara Desert in 5 years, there'd be a shortage on sand. That is true. That is totally true. Walter Williams, another conservative economist, says government doesn't produce anything. Everything the government has been taken from someone else. That is such a good point. The government just taxes us to death, and then they talk about government solving problems. The people that solve problems are the wealth creators. They're the ones that solve problems. The government does not solve problems. And then Thomas Sowell, he said, much of social history of the Western world has been a history of replacing what worked with what sounded good. Let's talk about this a little bit because you've pointed out there's no accountability for government officials in the real world, which is why many times business leaders do a great job in government because they have to live in the real world. If what they're doing isn't working and they continue,
they go bankrupt.
The business shuts down.
Immediate accountability.
And there is no immediate accountability in the system. I remember when
especially when the systems are really
what's that?
Built around them, like in California. Anyway, we'll go into
that. Exactly. Bob McEwen was one of our congressional leaders, and he talked about the problems with government.
Yeah.
He says, number one, there's a lack of personal ownership. So when you spend money on yourself, when you and I have money and we want to go buy something, we're very, very careful. We look at consumer reports,
Yep.
we study. And when we spend our own money, we want it to get the most value for that money. That's not the way it works with the federal government. They don't care. They're not careful, number one. And number two, it's not about value. They have money. They could burn the money. It's not their money anyway. So there's no accountability in the system. And so waste increases dramatically when you have that situation. There's no incentive to cut costs or to maximize value or to avoid waste because there's no direct consequences for their bad decisions. So again, anybody that thinks somehow the government should be given more money, more responsibility, is just an ignoramus and a moron.
The human nature, right? Like, I remember when my kids are younger, I bought them a toy or whatever, and like they broke it. And they're just like, whatever. And I'm thinking, man, that toy broke. Hurts me more than it hurts my kid. It's not even my toy. Why is that? I thought about that.
Yeah.
And the reason is because I work really, really hard to make the money to buy that toy for them.
Right.
For them, it was just like, whatever. And I have to teach my son to care about the investment I made in that toy. But when you incur pain to produce the resource, you're going to be a much better steward than someone who was just given that. Like we see that even generational, someone who just inherit tons of money, they're just like, whatever. Whereas their parents or their grandparents who made that money through hard work and labor and sacrifice, they're much better stewards of finances.
It's kind of like inherit, I think it's like by the third generation of a family business, it usually doesn't survive because the first generation, difficult. I think even like Living Stones, I think about my mom and dad for a decade when my dad was the senior pastor here. He never took a salary. He was a teacher. He had his teacher's salary. He'd come home. He would, pastor from the moment he got home. And the church, to launch the church, to birth the church, and all of that, it took a lot of hard work, and a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. And then, second generation, which would be me, praise the Lord, we were able to start, kind of standing on my dad's shoulders. That was the new floor was his shoulders. And again, we want to take it to the next level of blessing, and I believe we've seen that. But by the time you get to the third generation, you just assume that everything's great and ministry's easy, and look at the buildings and look at all the success in the world's eyes, and you don't realize, no, it took people slugging it out, fighting every demon in hell to get a stronghold established, a foothold. And I think it's the same way in private business, they don't understand the blood, sweat, and tears sometimes that went into that. Your kids certainly don't understand it until they have to get out and do it for themselves.
Well, I try and teach them that, but like some mid-level employee, bureaucrat, some USAID employee or whatever, given $1 million. What is that? What is that for them? They didn't.
And whatever your budget was in that year, you have to make sure you spend it all because you want more the next year.
Right. You got to justify that.
It becomes a self-perpetuating system of waste and indulgence. It's terrible. Anyway, I just thought that was a good thing for us to dive into today regarding just what a free market capitalistic system looks like, why it's important, and why it's the best system. We are, again, I wish we could get people out of this country. We're doing a pretty good job of that. We're going to Honduras, going to Guatemala. You see the poverty, you see the struggles, you see the lack of opportunity because of lack of economic resources. Yeah. I'm talking to some of our leaders right now in countries where they're saying, Pastor, we need this amount of money. Can you help us? And I wish money grew on trees and we could just write the checks and send them off. But you see the lack that's there, basic lack, and the poverty, the challenges that they face. And it's like, man, I hate to see us wasting and squandering this amazing place we have called the United States of America and the incredible blessing that we have been able to enjoy because of free market capitalism. And when you mix that with Christianity and the blessing of the Lord, you have a system that's going to lift people up and create blessing wherever it goes. So,
I would say Christianity is, again, I don't have the historical backing, but the sense I get is capitalism, the idea of multiplying, the idea of creating prosperity through innovation and creativity and become stewards of the resources given us came from. All those Western civilization ideas came from the scriptures.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I would say Christianity is the roots of true capitalism, corruption-free capitalism.
That's right. When you add value, that's a biblical principle. When you use whatever you create to serve other people, and when you're generous and you help the poor, and you help those who genuinely need the help, not people who are just lazy, but people who need help. We all go through situations or hardships.
But even the idea that we can command the laws of physics and gravity and engineering and mathematics versus the Eastern thought, which is like they're all kind of spirits and they're all kind of gods, and you don't know one day gravity is going to be this or wind's going to go that. Like that mystic world, there's no point to corral the forces of nature. And Western Civ says, no, we have an orderly God who created things in structure, and we can actually become good stewards of it, which is what the Bible commands.
Absolutely. You tie that with the whole thing of sowing and reaping. We talked about that. Planting, harvest, seed time and harvest, the principle of the seed, 30, 60, and 100-fold, the blessing of God as we honor Him first with our first fruits of what He's blessed us with. I mean, all of these things lead to prosperity, and that's what we've been experiencing in this country for years and years and years. I just pray to God we don't lose the blessing because of some socialistic fairy tale, utopian fairy tale. So anyway, any final comments from your heart?
No, I think, well, I have a lot of things in my heart, but I think you're right. I think when a government official goes to the government and their real purpose is to make a name for themselves, to get a job afterwards at Harvard or MSNBC or become really, really wealthy, we're going to destroy the system. But I think our governmental system is designed for successful people in the marketplace who's seeing how the real world works.
Yeah.
Okay. How actual things function, not how things function in rhetorics, because that's what government is.
Right.
Just winning debates and
talking points,
pitting one
clicks.
person against each other, but they actually see functional how that works. And they're able to get a government, they're solving real problems. And because they're wealthy already, successful already, they say, you know what, I actually don't need to take a salary. Because that $400,000 is nothing compared to the net worth I have already.
Right.
Okay. And they're not being elitist. They're simply saying, hey, this is a service. I'm going to go in the government, I'm going to serve for 8, 12 years. And I'm done because too long in the government is not good for me. I'm going to go and just serve. That becomes, in my opinion, a great sense of government. Now, I don't know people's heart. They got egos, those different things. But in general, when I see people go in the government, they have nothing to prove, and they carry their experience and expertise. That tends to actually solve real problem in government. So
yeah, because they're actually there for the right reasons.
In general, that's a better system for that than going there. When you're nothing but a community organizer. Now you're just organizing at a higher level, but you don't know how things are built and done.
Amen. So God bless America. I guess my heart is just, man, let's be smart, let's be wise, let's understand how we got here, and let's not lose this incredible blessing of the nation that we live in. And let's be good stewards, as you said, in terms of serving other people, adding value to other people. That's what the kingdom of God's all about. So anyway, we'll look forward to being with you guys next Thursday. Have a great week.